Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Brought to you by Housing Finance Bank, a financial institution regulated by Bank of Uganda. Housing Finance Bank, we make it easy.
Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for making time to be with us on this edition of Spectrum this Monday, when we continue bringing to you some key issues that keep happening in our country. Today we'll be looking at the road to the 2026 general elections, and we'll be asking a question: what are the plans of the Najjanankumbi group of the FDC according to what was unveiled earlier today? Now, as you know, in 2026 there will be elections in Uganda, and as a result, very many political groups are organizing for that particular purpose. Now, the FDC party had challenges that resulted into a splinter group. There's one group operating from Najjanankumbi and the other one operating at Katonga. Now, the Najjanankumbi group maintains that they are the official FDC party, while the Katonga group continue with countrywide consultations on the best way forward. Majority of the places where they have been, they have actually been told to form a new political vehicle. So what is the Najjanankumbi group actually doing ahead of the 2026 general elections? Today they issued some sort of a roadmap of the activities they are going to be engaged in. But as you might have heard in our news there, this group actually believes there can be political change in Uganda through elections. So why do they believe so? And what message will they be selling to Ugandans out there to actually ensure that there is political change through that particular vehicle? My guest this evening is the Honorable Robert Centenary, the Vice Chairman, FDC, that is the Katonga faction. Formerly, he did serve as Kasese Municipality MP. Good evening, Honorable Robert Centenary. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
You're welcome. And good evening, viewers and listeners. I'm happy to be hosted on my favorite radio station, by the way. It's the station that I listen to every other day. From morning, when I wake up with these guys, John and Jan and Janet. So I listen to them before I leave home. From 6 until I leave. There's that bit I enjoy most, the Memories mix with DJ Fresh, around 10:30. So yeah, I'm a religious listener to Radio
So you're
1.
always moving with Radio 1 in your car radio?
In my car and in my bedroom.
Oh, that's fantastic. And it's a pleasure also to host you here to share with us what has been happening. But let's begin. The last time I had you here, we were actually talking about the challenges that your party FDC had developed, and at that time you were running a campaign across the country to try to unite the forces to the different supporters of the party, and you actually promised that before you actually gave it a 6-month period, you will have united all the forces of this party, and you were very hopeful that the Katonga group was likely to move back to Najjanankumbi. Where are we at the moment?
First of all, I wanted to correct this impression. I've just listened to Josephine and Agano saying the Katonga Najjanankumbi faction. You see, when it's a faction, it means a part of a certain body. You cannot be a faction of yourself. FDC is a body corporate, registered and recognized political party, whose physical address is in Najjanankumbi plot 1164. And whoever breaks away from the mother part, if I want to the mother body, that is the faction now. But otherwise, the main party is FDC, and it is hosted in Najjanankumbi.
Look,
So there's only one FDC.
I know we can debate that until the cows return home, because the people,
But that's the reality.
the people in Katonga are also saying they are the legal entity, they are the real party, and therefore, as a media, we are left with no option but to describe you the way you are. You are split into two.
Let me tell you, when you are my child, that does not mean that you automatically become the head of clan, regardless of the fact that we share the same DNA. a father will remain a father and a son will remain a son.
All right. So
it doesn't matter how they call themselves, but the truth of the matter is that FDC is in Najjanankumbi.
What makes FDC in Najjanankumbi and not in Katonga?
That is how it was registered from inception. The very people who are calling themselves FDC are the very people who had it registered and put the address of Najjanankumbi. They are only believing in their own reality. And well, it's okay to have a wishful thinking, which is okay. Me, I'm happy they are proud to belong to FDC. But then let them also respect the fact that the FDC headquarters, today if you are to deliver a mail for the FDC, you will deliver it to the headquarters in Najjanankumbi. Many of those people in Katonga actually contributed resources towards purchasing the FDC home, the party headquarters. So, the physical address and the address of the FDC is in Najjanankumbi.
Well, you might have the address, but you do not have the soul of the party, so to say.
Well, the soul of the party is in the minds of the people. It's not anywhere in Najjanankumbi or in Katonga. The soul is in the minds of the people, the owners of the party, the members.
So where do you think the members of the party are, really, in this circumstance? Because both sides seem to claim to command the respect and the following of the members of the party.
Katonga and Najjanankumbi are just places of abode. But the official, what they call fixed place of abode of the FDC is in Najjanankumbi. That is why even the Katonga, our brothers in Katonga at one point said, we shall go and reclaim our party headquarters. So they recognize that their home is in Najjanankumbi. They have only decided to take solace and shelter, temporary shelter in Katonga, where they are renting. I don't know if they are renting or some good Samaritan gave them space, but their home, permanent home of the FDC is in Najjanankumbi. Whether Centenary lives or Amriat lives or any other person lives, 100 years from now, the FDC headquarters will still be in Najjanankumbi.
All right. The last time you were here, you actually emphasized the fact that you needed the people who were in Katonga to actually have a proper functioning party, and there was that effort to actually talk to those who are that side to actually return back to the political party. But not only that, you even said that you will be going down to interest the supporters that you think had been confused by the challenge that emerged. So, how far with that?
We did do that. Actually, we had a challenge in Western region. Myself and Chairman Jack Sabiti plus a team of leaders from the headquarters, we did move out and had engagements with those people. And we realized that there were just pockets of individuals who were spreading bad blood amongst the party supporters and members. And at some point, they tried to organize people to storm our meetings and stop people from coming. But in the end, we had the meetings take place. One of the reasons why we tactfully did not disrupt their meetings, their so-called consultative meetings, we wanted them to get it straight from the people down, the owners of the party, whom they said they are going to reach out to. And I am glad that they reached out to them. And the consistent message has been, go back home.
Really?
Yes.
Well, we
go and reconcile with your colleagues. We can only be one FDC, not two FDCs.
That particular message came only from TESO. I remember they did consultations here in Kampala, and they told them to form a new political party. They did consultations in some parts of Western Uganda. They were also told to formulate a new party. So maybe you can say a mixed message, something like that. Not
I can tell you the supporters and lovers of the Forum for Democratic Change have given a consistent message of reconciliation, because they think that starting a new party, moreover, right now, is a very hard task. And they have given an example of the ANT, how the challenges it has faced to gain traction in the country. So they are saying, you people condemned General Muntu when he formed the ANT. You say he should have stayed and reconciled from within the party. Why are you following the same footsteps? Those have been the moral questions being asked. What is it that is there that you cannot reconcile? So you cannot give birth to a child and then suffocate them the next day because you have another woman who is pregnant and you're expecting to bear another child. Even if you're expecting to bear another child, how sure are you that you're not going to face the same challenges with that new child? Rather, you would try to tame this old child that you have and make him a better person, a person that you desire to be, than hoping that this new baby you're going to give birth to is going to be better than the old child that you had.
All right. So has the dust settled?
For now, I think yes, it has really settled. And the flares, the tempers are now down. And that is why we are embarking on a nationwide mobilization exercise to enable the party, first of all, rebrand itself, two, to create an avenue for positive press, three, to reignite the confidence that Ugandans have since had in the party. And the most interesting bit about this is that whether the team at Najjanankumbi or the team at Katonga, all of us, when we go out to the field, we are talking about building a better FDC. Now that is the common point, the common message. We have to build a better FDC, an FDC that is beyond our individual interests. So reconciliation is taking a center stage. And I want to believe that the situation on ground is going to push all of us into one box so that we are able to focus on the main goal, our main objective as to why FDC was formed in the first place.
All right. Now, let's look at what you're going to be doing. Today at your party headquarters, you launched a number of things. Actually, if I remember, there were two issues, registration, but also you announced your countrywide mobilization plan. Let's begin with the registration. One, I believed that when you moved around the country, you were registering members, but also identifying flag bearers. You actually told us that you were doing that so early so that you could avoid last-minute confusion. So now again we are hearing the party president actually saying this is going to be fresh registration. Every FDC member must be registered. What's going on?
You know, we had the manual cards, membership cards, which were going for 1,000 shillings, renewable every year. Meaning that every year that membership card expires. So we decided as a party to go digital and embrace technology. In fact, we are the first political party in Uganda and second in the region, second to Chadema, to have an online registration of members.
What do you mean online?
Online, it means you are going to sit at the comfort of your home or your garden and get your phone, apply to become a member of the FDC, and the system is going to generate for you a membership, a number, and then you'll have your card digital on your phone, which will also be printed. This time we are actually going to the Polaroid, we are going to the plastic card, which is more durable than the paper cards. So in the past, people would move to the offices to purchase those cards. But this time, you'll be able to sit and register yourself, and you have your card delivered to your branch office. But at least you'll have the digital card.
Why do you think that is important? What exactly, what value does it add?
The value it adds, you know, political parties don't have, we don't have business. We don't trade. We were thinking that those membership cards are going to be one source of income because it's part of our fundraising strategy. And we have put different categories of memberships for purposes of fundraising. If I want to buy a membership card of 5 million, I am at liberty to buy it. And in that way, I'll be contributing money to the party. But also, on our web portal, we have put a provision for donations. And there is a payment system where you can put your particulars, whether it's mobile money or Visa payment system, and this will come to a central collection account to enable us mobilize resources that will finance party activities. So for me, I think this is the right thing for us to do. And we're also going to create other avenues of mobilizing resources so that this party can be self-sustaining. So
your main interest is raising resources for the political party?
Yeah.
Regardless of the challenges you're likely to face with that kind of process. Have you taken into account the challenges you're likely to face?
We have taken into account the challenges, but also knowing that every new innovation comes with its own challenges. But those challenges will be addressed along the way. I remember when we used to have scratch cards for airtime. You would walk to a kiosk, buy a card, you scratch it, and you load airtime. When they were being phased out, we made noise. But we didn't realize that now, even right now when I'm in studio, I can be able to put in codes and purchase airtime without even necessarily walking down to the kiosk to buy a scratch card. So for me, I think it will be more convenient. Somebody may say, yes, it is for the elites. I do not think that in a parish you will fail to get somebody with a smartphone.
All right.
Even the entire village.
So that's the only challenge you envisage as a political party.
Yeah.
All right. The NRM has been conducting digital registration using the national IDs. If you want to become a member of that party, you have to go with the national ID. They register you. They even do the vetting. Now, I'm seeing a challenge of infiltration with this system where anyone can sit anywhere with their mobile phone, register to become an FDC member, turn up in your party primaries, because I'm thinking that most likely when I register, I automatically become a member of your National Voters Register.
Yes.
So in the primaries, I might belong to the NRM, I might belong to another political party. I'll come take part in your primaries, ensure a weaker candidate is elected, and eventually in the final parliamentary elections, to say so, you will be floored.
Now,
how do you guard against that in a system where you are allowing people to freely register?
Our system of conducting our primaries is through electoral colleges. And for you to be able to vote, to vet a candidate, you must be a leader in the party, not just an ordinary member. Not every member of the FDC elects, no. The people who elect in the FDC are the chairpersons of LOC 1, the executive of LOC 2, LOC 3,
so it's not universal,
and LOC 4 and LOC 5 for the district-wide candidates like the woman MP and chairman LC5. So for you to become a voter or to be part of the electorate, you must belong to those structures. And normally when we're electing those structures, we're electing from amongst our members, and we all know each other. Because our process of electing leaders starts from the village, then you graduate upwards. Like for me, I started from my village structure. I went to the parish, went to the division, I went to the municipality, I became a delegate until I became a vice chairperson, national vice chairperson. So it is a process.
So FDC determines its candidates through an electoral college,
yes,
not a universal exercise.
No.
Right. So now let's look at the processes that you're involved in. Apart from this registration that you talked about, we understand you have a number of activities that you're going to be engaged in as part of the roadmap toward the 2026 general elections. Let's look at them. What are some of the things that you're going to be doing as a group?
We are first of all going to reignite the morale and support from our members and supporters down to the ground. We're actually moving the party from the headquarters to the grassroots. In fact, if I may borrow that slogan of Tuja, we are actually going down to the ground. And that is supposed to enable us to build momentum, because the election process is right around the corner. And the core business of every political party is to capture power. So that is going to be our preoccupation in the next months preceding the election cycle.
Town hall or public gatherings?
Public. We are going for the public. We are going for the public gatherings.
I guess you know my next question.
Yeah, you can ask.
When it comes to public gatherings, you know the exact question that comes to mind. Will you be allowed? Have you
it's
been
not up to
guided?
the regime to allow us.
Have you been guided by the police?
Because, one, we are a duly registered political party with a constitutional right to mobilize and to conduct meetings and to canvass support from the citizens. If anybody wants to deter us from doing that, from exercising that constitutional right, then they should put a ban on political parties and go back to a one-party rule, instead of pretending that we are under a multi-party dispensation, and yet in real sense, we are not. So the police and the military, the security apparatuses should know that law of public management, public order management, was actually quashed, and it is now redundant, and it opens the political space for all duly registered political entities to move around the country and mobilize and rally support its members and recruit members as well, because that is part of our agenda.
All right, Honorable Robert Centenary, do hold it there. We are going to go for a break. When we return, I'll tell you what the police has actually been saying. I'm sure you are familiar with what happened with the NUP activities and what the police has actually been saying, that much as the Public Order Management Act was quashed in some sections, they still have the Police Act, which actually gives them the mandate to do the policing of such events. Let's go for a break. When we return, we'll continue looking at the activities of the Najjanankumbi based FDC as we continue reflecting on key milestones ahead of the 2026 general elections. Stay tuned to Radio 1 FM 90. We continue after this break.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us on Spectrum, live on Radio 1 FM 90. We're also broadcasting on our website, which is www.radio1fm90.com. Radio 1 is also live on the different radio listening apps, TuneIn, Afro Mobile, GeoTV channel, Radio Garden, and Stream Afrique. You can also find us on DSTV. Our audio channel there is 897. My name is Kenneth Lukwago, your host, and today we are looking at the planned activities of the Najjanankumbi-based FDC group, which were actually unveiled earlier today as we prepare for the 2026 general elections. Well, my guest is the Honorable Robert Centenary, former Kasese Municipality MP, but he is the vice chairperson in this group, and he's here to actually share with us the details of their mobilization. Now, Honorable Centenary, surely you've followed the activities of NUP. They held a meeting with the police to agree on how to operate before they could be allowed to do so. But even as we speak now, the activities have been suspended because the police believes NUP has not been following the guidelines that were set for them to actually conduct these activities. One of the things the police are saying that since we are not yet in a campaign mode, you're doing activities here and there to recruit members, register members. Some of these activities should be restricted to town hall meetings where you meet in a group, but also apart from that, you have a responsibility to also ensure that the people that you're going to meet are secured, and therefore you should tell them the numbers of people you expect to be in your meetings. Therefore, you can't entirely say that the police has no role in determining how you conduct your activities. Have you talked to the police?
Well, procedurally, we normally inform. Out of courtesy, by the way. We inform the police about our activities, but they are also being naive.
So you don't mind about the security of the people you're going to gather?
No. Police is the duty of police.
Matter of courtesy.
The duty of police is to protect and to serve, and they are supposed to be everywhere. However, my biggest disappointment with the police, they have relented their duties. They have actually abdicated their duties, and they have appended themselves onto the NRM as an NRM police force. Look at how people are being attacked here on the streets. And people are watching. Broad daylight. What is the duty of police? That is their duty, to ensure safety of the people on the streets and everywhere. But instead, they'll mobilize themselves to go and destabilize political entities that are duly registered by this government of Uganda. And by the way, for your information, under the Political Organizations Act, government also finances the activities of political parties. Meaning that if they are drawing resources from the consolidated fund, they are public entities, and therefore they deserve protection from the Uganda police forces. But it is acting on the contrary. There was a serving military general who is now a CDF, who has formed PLU. Have they been asking him how many crowds he expects?
Maybe.
Haven't they been according him the necessary security?
Maybe.
Even when they know that he was acting outside of the law, because the UPDF Act does not allow him
Are you sure
to engage in political activities.
Are you sure he has not been working in consultation with the police?
He is their boss. They are working for him. There is no need for him to consult. I can be sure about that. But then, that may not be my problem. They have actually safeguarded that criminality, because a serving UPDF officer is not supposed to engage in political activities. If they can accord somebody who is holding illegal meetings security, why can't they accord the same security to the legally mandated entities to do those activities that are being done by PLOU? But secondly, even our friends from Katonga have been holding public rallies. In fact, Last weekend, Dr. Besigye was in Mbali. I was there, but I did not attend, and he had the rally. And he addressed. Even in Kasese, he did address. So, what is so special with other entities not being allowed to exercise their liberty, their civic right to mobilize? You know, the police must understand that we are not traders. Our business is people. And therefore, the only way we can conduct our business is to reach out to the people peacefully, so that we are able to give them our message. And if they're able to embrace our message, then they will join us. Why should they be an impediment to the activities of political parties, which government is actually contributing to? So it's a very big challenge to our police force, and it's high time they became professional. It's very unfortunate that they have put a ban on the activities of NUP, but I will implore them to lift that ban and allow our colleagues to do the business they were registered for.
All right. So you engaging in these activities to actually prepare for the general elections in 2026. The little that I know about FDC, you've been among those political parties who are actually saying elections will never cause political change in Uganda. And sometimes it fits understanding. When you're a political party, you move around telling people that elections cannot cause political change in the country, but then you take part in the same elections. Is your message different this time around?
That has been an opinion of somebody.
What do you mean, somebody?
But
I thought it's
our position as the FDC that was reiterated today.
Which somebody are you saying?
Well, you've heard the person who has been saying elections cannot change, and until now he still says it. But on the contrary, we believe that the legally mandated means for us to change this regime is by participating in activities that have been organized for us to institute regime change. But also to awaken the citizens to evoke their civic rights, their civil liberties, and participate in those processes that will bring the desired change. Like it has been rightly said, we think it is possible for us to have a regime change without firing a bullet, even by a ballot we can. I want to believe if Ugandans woke up one morning and said, all of us are going to cast our vote, the Electoral Commission will be overwhelmed when they are trying to rig an election if their results are not balancing.
You're assuming that everybody is going to vote for you. That's your assumption.
Now, it's our duty to convince the citizens with our message, a message of hope, that we can bring the desirable change that they want. So, if citizens decide to massively mobilize themselves and canvass support for a particular political entity and say, this time enough is enough, and they vote, even if the machinery decided to rig these elections, they will fail, they will be overwhelmed. But the moment the citizens leave a gap, that gap is utilized for ballot stuffing, for wrong results, because in a country of about 40 to 50 million citizens, you can't expect a voter turnout of 30%. Where is the 70?
Right. The argument has always been somebody should cast their ballot and go back home. you as a political party, you are expected to have agents in all polling stations to actually guard your vote. But you seem to insist that the citizens should keep within the polling stations. Is that the message that you're sending across?
It's because of the suspicion. A vote is very precious.
So for me, that implies you're not prepared as a political party. You probably do not
Our
have
preparation
structures.
is to the effect that, first of all, we are going into this election when there is no plain level ground. But we can put our tactical mechanisms to ensure that that vote that we have got into the box is jealously guarded. The other thing that we need to ensure that it happens is the announcement of the outcome of that vote. Is to create a situation where nobody will have an avenue to even alter results or even declare results that are not in that box. Now, this is where we have been going wrong. People will come, cast their vote, but the results that are being announced are different from what is in the box, because either there has been an interchange of boxes or we have allowed people to come and ballot stuff, bring in pre-ticked ballot papers. So if you can see, when the citizens become vigilant, I saw in Congo where they were beating up people who are coming with the pre-ticked ballot papers at polling stations because those are criminals. If we can become as vigilant, I think we can achieve something.
All right. The other argument you have always made is that there can never be peaceful, free and fair elections in Uganda unless there are electoral reforms. Well, we have not seen any as we speak. And you as political actors, you have also remained quiet about that particular issue.
Now, the way the system is crafted in this country, and we have a system where the parliament of Uganda is tasked with the duty of legislation. Now, in that parliament, we have government and we have the opposition. Of course, the political party that has the majority automatically becomes the leading opposition party. Now, it is one of the cardinal duties of the leader of opposition to come up through the shadow cabinet, obviously, to come up with proposals for the electoral reforms. And this is catered for in the Constitution, that we cannot go into another election without reforms. I don't know why the current leader of opposition is still silent about that, because naturally they are the ones who will present those alternative reforms, the proposals on floor of parliament.
But you also have members.
Where not every one of us.
You also have members in that house.
We have members in that house, but unless you want to insinuate that those members will bring it as a private members' bill to propose the reforms, but we wanted to respect the organ and give a benefit of doubt to the leader of the opposition and the chief whip to whip his members, because all of us, the opposition political parties, in the chain of command, the chief whip and the leader of the opposition
They are in charge.
are the ones who are in charge.
You
of
as
that
members
process.
of the opposition in parliament, have you actually taken a step to maybe organize a meeting to discuss your electoral reform agenda? Because from reading from the statement which was issued by your party leader, you seem to suggest that you have done so in the past. You are more experienced in this area.
And you have seen it has happened.
So what are you doing
not
right now?
hearsay.
So what are you doing right now?
So what we are going
Let's
to
assume
do,
that NUP maybe they are not experienced in this particular area. What are you doing?
what we are going to do is to give a wake-up call to the current opposition leadership in parliament and implore them to bring forward the much awaited for electoral reforms and put government under pressure. This, the moment they table those reforms on floor of parliament, then all of us will be able now to mount pressure as we get an opportune moment to do so for government now to bring the reforms. But the procedure is that at least the leader of opposition should champion that. We've had leaders of opposition in the past, and you know how we have performed to that effect.
So you are going out there to tell Ugandans to actually vote for you. You want to become the leaders of this country. But what do you stand for? Let's use two key issues. First of all, we just had the State of the Nation address where the president talked about the state of affairs in the country. One of the key issues that stood out was corruption. We also have the budget coming on the Thursday of this particular week, where we have 72 trillion shillings national budget. Let's hear the FDC. If you were the ones in charge, what would you offer?
When you look at the current state of Uganda as a country, where we have a 72 trillion budget, but we have a public debt of 97.4 trillion. We are indebted to 19 institutions internationally. Then this causes a lot of alarm. Where you have a large chunk of money in the 72 trillion appropriated to debt repayment, and you know that debt repayment does not have a direct impact on an ordinary citizen. If we were the ones in power, I think we would look at the productive sectors in this country instead of focusing on debt repayment, because we can become self-sustaining if we wish, for as long as we can reduce the wasteful expenditure. The other thing that is now alarming in this budget that is coming is the 2.7 trillion that has been put in the budget for domestic borrowing. The local traders are limping. They do not have any other alternative sources of financing other than the commercial banks that we have. But now government is coming to compete with those local traders for the little available loanable funds in the country. It means that government is now edging out those small business enterprises, which in effect have been creating an avenue of employment. The other day I was going on Ginger Road. I passed by a factory in Weyogereri. I saw over 1,000 people. Actually, it is called Darling. I think they make hair. Over 1,000 people. And I asked myself, what happens if this factory closes down? Maybe because of heavy taxes and what? Where will all these people go? If we were a government in power, I think our focus would be in creating an enabling environment for the private sector to thrive, so that it is able to absorb the shock of the alarming unemployment levels in this country. Instead of bleeding them with taxes that will lead them to closing down. So now, if they close down, where will government get taxes to run? That is when they start running to those lenders and both international and local to increase our debt. Imagine, we're about to hit, actually we have gone beyond our ceiling. So what happens if these people stop lending? And you know what really even hurts most? There are some of these loans that we borrow, we service them and they are not utilized. We have resources that have been put in non-critical sectors, and we continue pumping even more resources. I'll give you an example. The 600 billion shillings that has been so far invested on that non-starter Lubowa super specialized hospital can construct over 1,200 health center 3s in this country. And those will be over 1,200 sub-counties having health center 3. I'll give you an example. When Kilembe Mines, for instance, in Kasese was washed away by the river, it has over 11 sub-counties it was serving. But you can see 600 billion being sunk in Lubowa, and there is no work going on. And every other year the government is budgeting. What kind of priority is that? Look at the 120 billion shillings that has been allocated to the president for donations as he so wishes. It is so painful and disheartening to see that 120 billion can be given for donations to the president, but people like us who have been affected by River Nyamwamba, who have people in the camp in Mocha, who have been there for over 7 years, they are homeless because the river has occupied their homes and government cannot even buy them land of 1 billion shillings. But there is an individual who is being given money for us to go and beg part of our taxes, and it is okay. So, I think there is a structural issue that we need to resolve in this country and close a number of pockets of wasteful expenditure. If you look at corruption, which the president talked about, because that was his main focus, he was talking about people being given amnesty. I want to give you an example. A civil servant in Uganda who is at a scale of U5 earns about 400,000 shillings. In Kampala here, a single bedroom, they call it, a single bedroom, Chisengediro, is about between 500,000 averagely. Now, you're giving somebody a salary of 450,000 a month, but he has to sleep in a one-bedroom apartment of 500,000. He has children to take care of. He needs to transport himself using public transport to go for duty. Where do you expect him to get that deficit financing to cater for his meals, transport costs, education, medical expenses, and all other related expenses for him to be able to survive in this country? So if this civil servant you're giving 450,000 shillings, we're aware that it is not even enough to pay for his rental of one single bedroom. Remember, even as a family, I'm assuming that him and his wife and probably 1 or 2 children are living in that one-bedroom apartment. How does he finance the deficit? Where would you even get the moral authority to clamp down on that individual whom you are aware that you are not giving enough remuneration to even survive?
All right, we have quick questions, comments coming in here. Let's begin with this. FDC members across the country have demanded formation of a new party, saying FDC is so tainted with Museveni's money that they are finding a lot of difficulties in marketing it to the public. That's one comment. Another comment from Benon Fred Twinamasko. What will FDC do if government wakes up one day and blocks their website or gets it hacked? And does the Electoral Commission admit digital register? Then we have another comment. Robert is saying reconciliation is still possible, but Katonga Group gave a condition that for reconciliation to be meaningful, the current leadership have to step aside, which was rejected by the current leadership, meaning it's the current leadership who do not want reconciliation. Can Robert convince the listeners that reconciliation is still possible and a strategy from Najjanankumbi Group put in place for reconciliation? Then we have another comment. In the last election, FDC presidential candidate scored 647,146 votes, which was 3.27% of the total vote cast. When FDC was united with the support of their founding members, one can only imagine how lower he will perform in the next election now that FDC is divided. Centenary should not hoodwink the public. That's a comment from Kasozi Mulindwa. Very quick responses there. We are running out of time.
Well, we are not living in the past. If you have the willingness to reconcile, you don't come with conditions After all, who sent you away from the party in any case? You see, I do not want to open old wounds. We have already healed from them, and we have already moved on. Whoever thinks that it is prudent for them to be part of the FDC, the doors and windows are open. Good enough, I'm one of the senior leaders of the party at the moment. If you say people should step aside, under what mandate are you saying people should step aside?
All right.
In the first place, when that leadership was being formed, who stopped you from participating
All right.
in that leadership?
All right, I'm afraid, Honorable Centenary, time is not our best allies. We have to bring this discussion to an end, but we look forward to hosting you another time to actually dig deeper on these issues of the FDC. Well, thank you very much, listeners, for your contribution. Up next, we have the news in English with Ms. Josephine Dagano. Thereafter, we'll have the Soul Train with BB Jr.